Hello, Internet, and welcome once again to the bird heralding in the free-to-play cast.
That's what the door shut.
This is episode 248, brought to you by MMOBomb.com, your home for all things free-to-play related. We're recording on January 11th. You're watching it on the 12th or later. I'm Mike, magicman Byrne, your host for today, and most days, in fact. Yep, like almost all days. Yeah. Hey, Jason, you want to host sometime?
Do I get paid double?
Well, 2 times 0, so...
Oh.
Yeah, we could make double work.
Yeah, maybe I could.
The grumpy free-to-play cast.
They always are. Mike's a closet grump. He knows it.
Grumpy cast, episode 1. Just like Jason takes over, new graphics and everything.
Here's a new game. Here's the news. I hate it all.
Everything sucks. You all suck.
As I'm sure you guessed before we even introduced them, my co-host for the day, Mr. Jason Winter. How are you, sir?
I'm grumpy.
I saw that coming a mile away. I knew that was going to be the reply. Also, Ms. Quinlan Bowers. How are you, Q?
So we can only hear the bird, right? Not the cat?
Can't hear the cat, but we've heard the bird during the opening intro music.
Can you hear my bird? Well, now it's quiet.
Yeah, I don't hear anything. See, I also have a bird, but it's 2 floors up, so I don't have to worry about that. I have a sun conure. What do you guys have?
African gray.
Oh, beautiful bird.
Cockatiels.
Ah, I grew up with, my dad owned an African gray, and a parrot, Q. I love African grays, but I was not about to spend that kind of money.
It's not my bird. I wouldn't have spent any money on any bird ever.
All right, let's get started with Bird Chat Cast, episode 1, or the free-to-play cast. Let's just do the free-to-play cast since we already have notes for that.
Sure.
All right, so let's do some rapid-fire news here. In news, Jason Winters enjoyed this game, and then it looked like Jason Winter wasn't going to be able to ever enjoy this game again, and then might be able to enjoy it again, and then definitely could enjoy it again. So I'm not exactly sure how it all went down, but it went down quickly. Tiger Knight Empire War, that is the kind of ancient battle simulator along the lines of a Total War type game in that genre of games. They had some bad news initially that the game was being yanked from Steam. It was going to be shut down on the 10th, and that had to do with what? New ownership, Jason? It was being sold off to a Chinese company, and we didn't know what was going to happen with it initially.
Yeah, that's about what it seemed like. Although there wasn't anything provided in the initial announcement, but that's kind of what we've kind of figured out since then.
Yeah, and then the NetDragon, the company taking control of the game, they decided, no, we're going to bring it back up. We're going to bring it back up. And people thought, okay, there's going to be a period in time where you can't get it on Steam, but you may be able to access it through their site, and maybe it would come back to Steam. So it was scheduled to go off yesterday, January 10th, and then scheduled to turn back on Steam the very next day. So it all came together for fans of Tiger Knight, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, well, I didn't even know where we're getting that other info about it coming back, still being available there. All I saw was that they just won't be on Steam anymore, so goodbye. But yeah,
well, I had seen users post on Steam to the original post saying it was going to be shut down, which was posted in December.
Yeah, December 10th.
People replied to that they had gotten information that it was just going away from Steam because the new owner might be consolidating servers and things like that. And then the Steam announcement came up and said, no, we're going to come back to Steam literally the next day, but you're going to have to reinstall.
Okay, yeah, then yeah. Yeah.
But didn't they get the server consolidation part right? Instead of just having 3 servers, everybody gets to be on one server. It's like Eve.
It's not a server merge. We're just coming back. There you go.
Right.
As one server. Oh,
right.
That isn't going to do a server merge, isn't it? No, the game's just going away. Oh, but it's back as one server.
Right. So they took all 3 servers for the different areas, and they merged them into one server. All the data will transfer, and you'll still have... This is the part that's goofy to me, Jason. I'm going to read it directly from the Steam page at this point. The way the servers are currently set up, there are 3 different servers. When we reactivate them, it will now become one server, and all data will transfer. I'm with you so far. Gotcha. I totally understand. The next sentence kind of foobars it for me a little bit. You will still have the 3 servers you can choose from once you log in. So it sounds to me like instances of a server then on one server, right? I mean, that's the way I kind of read that.
Like a mega server maybe sort of thing even.
Right, so it says character information. If you have 3 characters on the old servers, all of them will be transferred to the new server. If your names match each other, all of them will be renamed with little suffixes to indicate your area of the world. If this happens, we'll send you a rename card. By the way, since we're taking control of this, it's going to have a new store page. You're going to have to go and download it. We apologize for that inconvenience. It just seems... And, oh, by the way, players are getting compensation queues, so that's pretty cool. Every character has been created before the server relaunch gets a gift, 30-day VIP access, 2 barrack extenders, 3 silver thunder chests, 100k copper, and 10k prestige. So pretty nice little package for the inconvenience of basically only having to wait 24 hours before you could play again and having to reinstall, right?
Yeah, and as we were discussing earlier, everybody likes free stuff.
Now, the one thing that I have seen, and this is the part I don't understand, Jason, the statement that I just gave you, you'll still have the 3 servers you can choose from after they've consolidated to one. Somebody immediately brought up the most obvious question: what does this mean for ping? You know, for US or EU ping, particularly since you assume, based on company, that the one server is going to be in China. And they replied to that, but I don't get the reply. It says, no, do not worry, as there should still be 3 that you can choose from still.
Yeah, it's like, again, it's sort of like they're saying there's only one, but there's multiple, so...
Like I said earlier, so when I said it's like Eve, right? So like Eve is one server, right? But it's a whole bunch of servers scattered everywhere. It's just that everybody is together. Like, yeah, so they don't have the ping issue and stuff. So maybe it's like that. It's like you're all together, but you get to pick like what server location you use so that you can avoid having a high.
Yeah, and I get that. I mean, I'm a software engineer, so I get the architecture. Like, I understand what they're trying to do. The portion of this that doesn't make sense to me is that when I think of that type of architecture, Q, I think of big games, not Tiger Knight, Empire. You know, I think of much, much bigger games that would utilize that type of mega server, mini servers within a server, reducing the ping across multiple network. Yeah, I get it, but damn, Tiger Knight? Really? Really? What's the Steam chart look like on that one, Jason, since I know you love Steam charts so much?
I looked at it, actually. It was a few hundred, like 400 or 500 or so. So at least it's, I mean, it's not huge, certainly, but it's not, you know, lawbreakers.
I knew you were going to do that.
Yeah.
So good news for Tiger Knight fans, even if a little kind of wonky on the way they're doing the architecture, but hopefully it'll all work out for everybody, and you get some freebies. So if you're a Tiger Knight fan, re-download it, get ready. In the not-so-good news, let's paint the word allegedly all over this stuff, right? All over this stuff. Neither Jason Q, nor I, nor MMO Bomb are making any accusations or allegedly. So, NCSoft executive may be in a little trouble. And this story has been developing for, Jason, I think when you started digging into it, it's actually been developing for like 6 months or so, right?
Yeah, I think September was when he was originally like going to be questioned about it. And then
what's the deal here? What's going on? Catch us all up.
So, a Funcom executive, or excuse me, an NCSoft, because I know...
There's a slip of the tongue.
Well, the Funcom thing was
This had happened a few years ago. Similar thing with a Funcom executive.
Something similar. A vice president for NCSoft, who's referred to as a former Blade and Soul producer in some sources that I found, says he's been referred to prosecutors in South Korea on allegations of insider trading of NCSoft stock. And I guess you're right. Okay, it was back in June. I'm thinking of something else. In June, he sold 8,000 shares of stock the day before, of all things, was announced that Lineage M would not have an auction house. And that apparently tanked the price of the stock because horrible news, apparently.
Well, that was horrible news, at least from the player base. That was horrible news because players could not trade or sell items to each other, which forced you into potential purchases, directly from the company. There was no option to get it from other players. So I can understand why, all right, I got a big product. This is going to be... And by the way, that feature was... planned for the game. It just wasn't going to be available in launch. And so I guess the anticipation of a bit of a stock hit let me dump some stuff. It seems on the surface very insider tradey right off the bat, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much the textbook definition of it, using insider knowledge to sell before your price is going to plunge, which is like what happened with the Secret Worlds. Apparently the guy back then thought the game was going to do poorly, so he sold off a bunch of stock like the day before it launched. So, and
I remember that queue at Game Breaker, and that led to what Funcom at one point got its offices raided. Remember?
Yeah, that was kind of interesting. It's funny because I kind of think about it. I come from a really shady family. Like my brothers were bookies in high school and stuff. So when I sit here and think about this, I'm like, well, I mean, if you know for a fact that your stock is going to drop, just go. I mean, obviously, it's not necessarily the right thing to do, but I could see where it's the right thing to do financially.
Yeah, just ask Martha Stewart,
don't get caught,
right? You know, just ask Martha Stewart. I'm sure she would advise highly against this at this point. Again, all this is alleged. Well, I should say the crime is the alleged part, because nobody, it seems, Jason, is disputing the facts of this.
Yeah,
is that they sold 8,000 shares of stock the day before Lineage M made that announcement that the auction house capability wasn't going to be in launch. That's fact. From what I read, it really seemed kind of flimsy, though, right? The defense was this wasn't illegal. He was actually planning to sell that to parlay some stuff around and buy more stock. It seemed like really ass backwards, the reasoning that they were giving for this not being a crime.
We should have had Zach on this one because he does all sorts of stock market stuff. He'd know all about this stuff.
I say most business seems, ass backwards to me anyway. It's like the whole let's lay off a whole bunch of people at the beginning of the year because it's the new year and let's hire more people a month down the road, kind of thing. It in some ways because of their budgetary things or whatever, it makes sense. But in other ways, it's like, but you're going to have to pay to train all of these people that this makes no. So business is weird and makes no sense anyway.
Well, what they were trying to say that he did was that he sold the shares because he needed cash so that he could exercise other stock options. And at the end, he would end up holding more shares than he sold after he was finished with this whole process. So if you take a step back, is that plausible? His cash on hand situation was really low, so he sold some options to get some cash to exercise some other options that he had on his remaining stock and end up with more shares. Well, yeah, but it makes sense if you or I did it, where we don't have $200,000 sitting in a desk drawer to exercise these stock options. We're talking about somebody super high up that is presumably pretty financially well off, right?
Well, that's another weird thing, though. Those people that have lots of money, they don't necessarily have it in cash.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, it's in stocks, it's in bonds, it's in a portfolio for whatever. It's in a million different things where, on the books, they've got a ton of money, but it's not really money.
It's sort of like having all sorts of crafting materials in your auction house. You could sell all of them, and make a lot of gold, but for the moment, you don't really have that much.
Well, God. Well, and here's the question, too. Like, if he was doing this for nefarious reasons, I think the stock is going to tank, and so I want to cash out. You got to presume that he would have just done exactly that, Jason. Cashed out. Not gotten rid of just some of these things big enough that it flagged attention. He had to know that this was a big enough chunk of shares to flag attention anyway. If he was doing it for nefarious reasons, Why wouldn't he have just cashed all of it out at that point? There's a lot of questions. It's all alleged. It's going to be in court, so we'll find out what the end ruling here is. But what I think is the best part of this is the part that a lot of other sites didn't cover, and Jason covered it exquisitely. Thank you, Jason. This didn't pan out for him financially in the long run, did it?
Yeah, because the stock price on that day, the day that he did it, was like 365,000 Korean won per share. And now my screen is black. I hope I'm still on. Can you hear me? Oh, you're showing.
Yeah.
Oh, you're showing the website. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So there you see that's the line where he sold it. And of course, as we see from our financial stuff, Lineage M exploded. And look, a few months down the line, where the stock is gone. Like, it was still kind of hanging around there for a while, and then September just like...
Well, here's the other question that I have on if this is what some NCSoft people claim, that he was trying to exercise this was 6 months ago. Where's the back half of that transaction? Right?
Did he repurchase?
Did he repurchase? Like, I would assume that if that's what they're claiming, then they could turn around and say, "Oh, no, you're just seeing half the picture. This is what he was going to do, and here's the second half of that picture of it coming to fruition."
But of course, that's why you do insider trading. You sell your stock when it's worth $100.
Yeah.
If tomorrow it's worth $50, you buy twice as much.
Yeah.
So I mean,
hey, I bought more stock. Yeah, but you bought it at a quarter of the price.
Well, that's what you would. That's why you would want to sell the stock and rebuy it, because
it's really interesting.
You don't want to rebuy it when it's double the price. Like, what's the point in that?
Yeah, I love financial stuff like this. Particularly like in America, the 2008, the housing crisis, going through all of that type of stuff.
I love that. That was awesome.
I love the research aspect of that. Not the event itself. Yeah, it was thrilling. It was tons of fun in a global economy and a downward spiral. No, but it fascinates me, the studying aspect of this. And so I try to look at this as, okay, was NCSoft being legit in what they said he was doing? Well, then where's the other side of that? But also, if he was being nefarious and just trying to cash out, why did he keep any stock? He got rid of enough to bring attention to himself, so it wasn't like, I'll just get rid of a little piece and nobody will notice. People noticed. It was, 0.04% of the company's overall stock that he dropped, so I don't know. We'll watch it and see what happens. Yeah, here's a fun topic, huh? Speaking of fun stuff, the whole meltdown fiasco. If you guys don't know what this is, put your headsets on and prepare to be scared shitless.
Is this the newest huge vulnerability that's going to make all my passwords on the dark web or whatever?
Yeah, it's one of the two vulnerabilities. Meltdown, what's the other one? Spectre?
Spectre, yeah.
Spectre.
And they primarily... It's a little iffy, but they're primarily supposed to affect anything with Intel chips.
Yeah, basically...
Which means I should be okay.
Basically anything. Your phone, your computer, whatever. And we're not going to get into the dirty nitty-gritty on the vulnerabilities themselves. Please do some research on it so that you are aware of them, what is going on. It is a hardware issue with almost every device that you've touched at some point in your life in the last couple of years that could potentially leave some huge risk factors.
Does that include my potato peeler?
Were they saying like the last 20 years? Like every device for the last 20 years has this issue?
It's messy. It's messy. Do some research on it. Unfortunately, there's not a ton you can do about it right now. There's going to be there have been some updates, software updates, and there's going to be more presumably. But it's an exposed situation. Not exactly easy to take advantage of the vulnerabilities, but certainly possible. So do some research if you haven't heard about it. Meltdown Spectre. We want to talk about it on the free-to-play side because of, apparently this affected Fortnite. Q, what happened?
Right. So, they are putting out kind of fixes and stuff to it already. But in the case of Fortnite, they use a cloud-based service to operate a lot of their stuff, and as it turns out, the vulnerability and the fixes going through and everything are affecting that, so it's causing issues Fortnite, with just the general operation of Fortnite.
Yeah, and not to scare anybody, this is not a compromised situation where your information that Epic Games has been compromised and is out there. It's not that type. We're talking about service issues. Pinging the games themselves. So, yeah, I mean, and you summed it up, I believe. Hopefully things will level out soon. But knowing what is causing the issues...
The only way to really fix this is for everybody to get new chips in their devices that don't have this problem.
Well, that, and I saw potential hardware fixes, Jason, that you could shut off certain aspects of particularly cell phones in this case. But then it was almost like you were going back to your old flip phones as far as speed and performance and stuff went, because the reason that everything's as fast as it is.
That is the big problem too, is the fixes, the Microsoft Windows fixes for this are expected to cause like a 10% drop in but basically they're supposed to affect your operations on your computer with like a 10% drop. And there was an argument over whether or not it would affect gamers. And then they come back and go, no, it's not going to affect gamers. And it's like, well, if it's affecting your general operating system, how is it not affecting gamers? Like, I don't understand how you're going to sit there and go, this doesn't affect gamers. Of course it is. We're going to have a drop too, just like everybody else. I cannot think of the actual right word, unfortunately.
Scary stuff. So get educated on the vulnerabilities themselves so that you can stay abreast of any updates or things that you need to do. Of course, stay safe out there and, be extra cautious with your passwords and things like that. Particularly saving them to browsers was a big one I saw over and over and over and over again, Jason, was, potentially accessing the saved information in your browser to scrape passwords. So... On the good side of things, Sky Saga's coming back, right, Jason? It's coming back tomorrow.
Totally, just like Tiger Knight. It just went away, now it's back.
Sky Saga Infinite Worlds. It never came out, but a bunch of people were looking forward to it. And then last year, Korean publisher Smilegate kind of just tossed Radiant Worlds to the side, and the game went away. But it's coming back? Is it the game? Is it what's going on, Jason?
Yeah, not exactly. No, like you said,
man.
Yeah. Like I said, back in August, Radiant Worlds was kind of a sandbox, voxel kind of game. It was in early access alpha or whatever it was, and they've been working on it for like 4 years. Radiant Worlds was the developer, Smilegate was the publisher, and Smilegate said, or basically the news we got was from Radiant Worlds, where they said, Smilegate said they're done. It comes as a total shock to us.
Yep.
We believe the game has enormous potential. There was no prospect for obtaining enough replacement business within a realistic time frame. We've been left with no option but to notify our staff of the intended consultancy period today, which I guess was a code word for, we're going under, kids. But just earlier this week, they all got jobs again. Because Radiant Worlds was, Rebellion, the devs behind Sniper Elite and Battlezone, picked up Radiant Worlds, put them to work on an upcoming title they have called Strange Brigade. It's listed as a 4-player co-op adventure game. Doesn't say that it's free to play on the website. It probably won't be, but nice that these guys do at least now, even after Sky Saga going away, they at least are going to have some sort of employment, keep being able to make games, and maybe down the road they can revisit Sky Saga and get back to it. But at least in the immediate future, it's not on the table. They've got something else they have to be working on.
All right, so here's the question I got. First off, awesome that they all got jobs back again, and that the studio was picked up. That's great. But Q, in looking at what Sky Saga was going to be, I keep wanting to say Skyward Sword for some reason. Looking back at what Sky Saga was shaping up to be, and looking at the project that they put them on in Strange Brigade, I don't know how you two feel, but I'm not exactly pumped and excited looking at what Strange Brigade is. For those of you that don't know, check it out on Steam. There's just some information there. It's not out yet. I'll give you the description. Embark on an exotic journey into danger in this rip-roaring 1930s third-person adventure for 1 to 4 players. Encounter pulse-pounding action, treacherous traps, and tales of daring do. And I kind of like the era that it's set in, but that's really, watching the videos and reading some things about it, I kind of would have rather seen Sky Saga. I don't know about you guys.
You know, I really, I don't know. I do, like you said, I like the setting, and I tend to like things that are more contemporary rather than fantasy and stuff like that.
Maybe
I don't know. They're just so different that I don't think I'm really going to compare them to each other and be like, well, I don't think I like this one because this one was good. But I do kind of wonder what the benefit of pulling devs from a group that's creating something like Sky Saga and going, okay, now you're creating this completely different thing over here.
Yeah, hey, I don't have any problem with that. You know, a dev is a dev, and if you can code and you can do art and you can do 3D modeling and stuff, then you can apply that anywhere. More power to them. Glad they got jobs, but if I have my choice, Jason, I don't think Strange Brigade is the project that I would really look forward to. I just watching it doesn't excite me in any way.
I mean, maybe, but on the other hand,
and maybe we'll be pleasantly surprised. I don't think this is going to be free to play. It seems like a little co-op adventure game, so it's not something we're going to talk about a lot here. Just I kind of would have rather seen Sky Saga. I think, just personally,
because I mean, it seems like there are 800 different voxel builder games out there, and I'm not saying anything bad about Sky Saga, but it never got on. Again, personally, it just never got on my radar with all the other stuff that's out there. So
fair enough.
You know, at least Strange Brigade is something that isn't maybe quite as overdone as voxel builder. So I don't know.
Fair enough. Yeah. Well, let us know what you think.
QQ's trying to say something. Go on, Q.
Oh no.
No,
I'm
okay,
fine.
never mind. Shut up, quiet, go away.
No, this one's all Q because, to be honest, I don't personally really know too much about this besides just reading snippets here and there. So you probably remember, and I'm pretty sure we talked about this on the show because it ended up having a community manager lose their job, didn't it, Jason? Am I thinking of the same thing?
Yeah, the same thing. Based around the same guy, yeah.
So back last year, Riot Games got rid of an employee that had said some pretty nasty things about a particular League of Legends player. And granted, not a lot of people came to the League of Legends players' defense because there was generally some toxic behavior and previous bannings from that side. So it's Tyler 1 is the player's name. And I don't know Tyler at all personally. I don't watch League of Legends stuff, so it's not like I sit there and check out Tyler 1's streams. I'm not going to disparage the guy or praise him in any way. I just don't know enough about him. All I know is lots of bannings. Riot gets in trouble and has to lose an employee over this. And we just found out, Q, that Tyler 1 was apparently unbanned and allowed to resume League of Legends play.
I don't know. That's all just, it's so weird. In my opinion, when I ban someone, they're gone. Just period. Whatever. If they were bad enough to be banned, they weren't doing anything for the community. And this whole, I don't know, like what, 613 days of intense rehab thing. How many people do you know that go to rehab and it doesn't do them any good whatsoever? So, and what kind of I guess what, it's anger management rehab or something? Like what kind of rehab do you go to for just being a jerk in a video game?
I don't think he was actually checked into a clinic or anything like that. I think he's just saying that. You know,
he wasn't.
Like, I don't understand how they determine. I guess it's just one of those things where they're just like, okay, well, it's been this long. I guess we'll give him a chance or something.
You know what, though, Jason? I think you've just given me a brilliant idea. I am going to create. Yeah, I'm going to create the MOBA Toxic Gamer 12-step program.
There you go.
And launch it worldwide. I'm going to be a bajillionaire. It's been fun, MMO bombers, but I'm out of here. I'm out
We're
of
doing
here.
with you because there's going to be some serious money in that.
Oh, there's gonna be tons of money in that.
For gamers.
Well,
Can I do your infomercials?
Yes, yeah, you can. And predictably, Jason, this has teed off two big sides of the internet debate on Reddit, League of Legends, forums, even our own article about this, where somehow we got blamed. Yeah, of course, we always get blamed.
I didn't even look at that.
Oh, yeah, we got stop posting about this guy, not even worth reading about. This guy is one of the reasons why I stopped playing League. I'm sorry to say this, MMO Bomb. I've been following you guys for years, but I'm removing you from my browser. Take care. Sorry to see you go. I mean, we got to cover the news. It was a news piece.
There are titles on articles for a reason. Look at the title. If you're not interested, click on something else.
Well, no, see, okay, hold on. So let's tangent here. See, I'm kind of the mind, like, if I see a piece that maybe I'm not interested about the game, but I want to read the piece, and I read it, and I really just violently disagree with it, and I don't want to go to that site again, I understand that if it was like a Jason Winter editorial, because Jason is editorializing about a comment, or about a particular issue. I think he went way off base. I think he was nuts. I think it was inflammatory, and what? I'm not going to. What I write, yeah. Right. So I'm not going to go to that site again. If I go and read this piece by Jason, ironically, this is clearly Jason posting the news. This happened a couple of months ago. Riot person gone. This guy's back. Here's a couple statements and some links from people. And I think, Jason, the only thing you really editorialized on was, I'm of the same thing Q just said. I'm generally of the opinion that if you ban a ridiculously toxic player, they should probably stay banned. But that said, Riot has to know what they're doing and what backlash might be caused here if they unban him. So even the minor editorializing that you did here, I think the person that says, I'm out of here, they have the same opinion. I don't know. I think leaving a site based on news is silly, and I hope you come back. I really hope you do. But Q, I think there's I would leave a site and not go there if there was an editorial that just really got under my skin.
I would not leave a site over one editorial.
I think one is being, maybe.
Kotaku is a good example. There are writers on Kotaku that I just cannot stand. So whenever I see their name on an article, I just don't click it. Because I know the way they editorialize, and I know the kinds of stuff they say, and I know it's going to be the same thing every time. And then there's other writers, a few, that I, actually do like, and I'll go read their stuff. But, if I just look at the title, if I'm not interested in the topic, I don't click on it. If I know I don't like the writer, I don't click on it, and I click on the content that I like from the other writers.
Yeah, and I agree with you. It wouldn't be one editorial that would send me personally running for the hills. It would take a trend of this guy's totally out of his frickin' mind. I'm out of here. But I don't think I would blame somebody if they said, "Wow, Jason, your editorial is just way off base. I don't want to go to this site anymore." There's other sites. Fine. I would give him a few more chances, not just one piece, but here's one of the things that I do want to get both of your opinions on this one. And this is a comment on our article from Name Goes Here, which I think is a fair comment to make. So, unbanning a toxic player. What about the employee that got fired because of this toxic player? Does he get rehired back to work? The poor employee literally lost his job while this toxic player only lost his account for a free-to-play game. I see this as Riot being unfair and valuing a toxic player more than actual people that needed the job for money to live. Now, I know the initial argument is going to be that person was an employee and acted in an unprofessional manner, and it doesn't matter why they did it or what the situation is or who it was at, they needed to go. Generally, I would agree with you, but I don't think it's all that unreasonable a question if you look at this specific and only this specific situation, Jason.
I would wonder if that employee had anything else in his docket. Because,
true.
It's sort of the same thing. Like, if a guy is toxic once in chat, gets a 3-day ban, whatever, and he can come back. Tyler 1 obviously was probably a lot more than that over a much longer period of time, so he got the perma ban. So again, you have to wonder about that employee. We only saw him say that one thing. Did he do other things that were wrong that would have maybe finally they said, okay, this is the last straw, or whatever else the situation was. So I'd want to know about that before I try to get into anything else. If that was literally the only time he screwed up, then yeah, I could see it possibly being revisited, or at least, granted, who knows if he wants the job back now, if he feels like he was mistreated or whatever. But at the very least, I would think he could maybe get a favorable, letter of recommendation or something from people he worked with at Riot, if that was his only, transgression.
Yeah, and I'm not really advocating for the employee to come back, personally. I think regardless of what the situation is or who it is, that employee acted in an incredibly unprofessional manner, and if they were my employee, I would fire them as well.
Crap, I better hide that last post I made.
I think Riot absolutely made the right call, no matter what this situation was. But because this is a very oddball situation, Q, is it something that maybe Riot should A, look at, or B, at least comment about?
Well, I mean, like you said, we already know what their comment is going to be if they do comment on it. He acted inappropriately,
right.
and it comes down to if it were a case of, I think, pre-social media, like he went off on a customer one time kind of deal, but only maybe a few people were there to see it, and it doesn't blow up all over the internet kind of thing. But with social media, it's now one little thing. That's all you need.
Sure.
One thing. If it makes the company look bad, if it gets death threats and harassment and people threatening to sue you and whatever from the internet, that is just easier to get rid of the employee than
Sure.
it is to deal with the fallout. And that's, I feel like that's really what it is. It's not even a whether or not it was appropriate. It's, do we want to spend the extra time dealing with the fallout from what he did?
Very true. Let us know how you feel about it below, because believe me, everybody's giving their opinion on everything about this one. Personally, I don't care. But if it were but to say that is very glib, I know, but I will at least acknowledge that it's glib, and that if it were my game, I probably definitely would care. So that's the only reason I'm kind of staying out of this one.
And apparently in his return to streaming League of Legends, Tyler 1 got like six-figure viewers and was a model citizen the whole time. So,
well, hey,
good on him.
Maybe he changed. I don't know.
Or maybe they just want to see how long it lasts.
He's gonna be on a really short leash for a long time. That's for sure. All right, Ascent Infinite Realms, or Air, as we're gonna call it, unloaded some information, and again, we still don't know if this is going to be free to play or not. We're assuming that it could be, kind of like we assumed Overwatch could be before it launched. So maybe you're going to see Air disappear from the MMO bomb airwaves at some point. I don't know. But for right now, we'll assume that it's a possibility that can go free to play. We got some new news about this game. Some good news. We got the opening cinematic in English, Q.
Yeah, and it was just straight up, narration kind of thing.
That was the wrong button. That was the wrong button.
I am not the weekly bomb. But it gives you the kind of the backstory prior to where everybody's gonna, come in and be on the floating island, apparently above this incredibly destroyed world. Because meteors and profits and all of that kind of fun stuff. And judging from it, it doesn't explicitly say it, but judging from the way the narration works and the backstory works, I'm assuming there's two factions and then kind of an NPC faction to go along with it. That's my takeaway from it. I could be totally wrong, and it could be two NPC factions, but I don't think so.
Here's the things that I liked about it that I thought were maybe not unique per se. Obviously, there's nothing unique about airships. Just look at Final Fantasy games. There's nothing unique about them. But I did like how the lore story in just a couple of minutes explained why there's this kind of odd magic/technology environment. There's kind of a mixing of the two. We've seen games do like steampunk and magic, or high tech and magic, and
Final Fantasy.
Yeah, Final Fantasy obviously has done it many times, and I really like when that's explained in a way that you're like, okay, I could go with you on that. They were building this tech society and found these things that did this certain, and now they have the magic of airships. I dig it. I'm with you. What I really liked too, and I thought was kind of clever, and I'm not saying it's original, but it's just I've never seen it in an MMO, to be specific. I've seen it in other games. In MMOs, Jason, you create your character, and it's almost like they were 35 from the moment they started existing. It was just, you were this like 30, 35-year-old, and away you go on this fabulous adventure. And if you have any backstory, you have to create it here. Neverwinter gave you kind of the ability to actually put that in your profile, but you still had to create that backstory, particularly for our peers. What I liked in this is there's a reason why there is no backstory for your characters, and they have literally, Q, just kind of come out of fucking nowhere and are fully grown and ready to go.
I didn't even think about that, honestly. I was just like, oh, okay. Because the two factions we're talking about here, they're immortals already, right? And they just really like to fight. Because what else are immortals going to do but fight with each other? Like, it's one of those
look
things.
at your Greek and Roman god history. That's all they did.
Right? But
Well, that and have a lot of sex.
That's
Usually with humans. Yeah.
right. So what else? And then,
Why
you
not?
have this one little faction over here that is not immortals. They're the ones that are doing the magitech stuff. And when the disaster hits the planet, the immortals, they're immortal in the sense that they will live forever so long as something disastrous doesn't happen to them, apparently. Like that's the deal. They'll live forever as long as there's no great disaster. So there's the great disaster, and there's just these little orbs of spirits floating around everywhere from both sides. While in the meantime, the regular people were smart enough to get off the planet.
Yep, they were out of there.
They're like, floating island right there. Let's go. And and so the only reason the immortals still exist is because once they get up there, the wise old sage guy's like, dude, it's gonna take us forever to rebuild this. Why don't you bring these guys down, floating around down here as little spirit balls back to life, and make them do the work for us? And the ruler's like, well, okay, we just have to wipe their memories.
Let's wipe their memories. So,
maybe
so
they
I
won't
kind of like it.
wipe
And maybe
their
it's cheesy, and yeah, I know I can think of books off the top of my head where I've seen that type of thing. But this is the first MMO that I've personally seen that kind of aspect in. Jason, I'm not going to begrudge you. I know one of the points that you always bring up, and I 100% agree with you on, is that this game seems very scattershot at the moment. It's got a little bit of frickin' everything in it, to maybe the detriment of it all. I'm not willing to say that it's not yet. I still have that concern too. What are you thinking about Air as we move into 2018 here?
Well, to focus on the story thing, I agree. I thought it was a pretty cool way they did it and the way they introduced it in 2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
Now,
It wasn't a 9-minute trailer.
Well, but the thing is, once you get in the game, are you going to have to go through 40 levels of quests where each one tells you to encounter some new thing about our amazing story that we crafted, and it's so amazing, it's such wonderful literature. Eventually you get to do the fun gaming stuff, but you have to talk to this NPC and this NPC and this NPC and learn about this and learn about this and learn about this. Go over talk to this guy, talk to that guy, get to the historian over here and this guy. As long as they really compress it into that sort of thing, say, all right, this happened, your amnesia, go out in the world and do stuff. Then I'll be okay with it. But if they make you go through the story for countless hours because they want to tell you,
are you talking about the backstory? Are you talking about the backstory before we get to where we're at now?
Well, that'll be the backstory combined with.
Because I think they covered that pretty well with that
then
cinematic.
It'll be the story of the world. Now you have to learn about everything. Oh, learn why we have this great tower of pillar of greatness over here.
But we already know why they have the one bit of great tech that they have.
Well, we know from the video, but they're probably going to make us go through it for hours and hours in the game as well. But yeah.
You're such a pessimist.
Ridiculous. This happens all the time. When I first got into Arcade, I was like, wow. There's going to be all this crafting and trade packs and stuff. And no, it's like, talk to us about why the Great War happened. I don't care. I don't give a damn about your Great War. I want to do the cool stuff. But no.
I will say,
so
I found some of the chat interesting in that we probably wouldn't even see this game in the West without Black Desert Online doing as well as it did here. the companies involved in this, Cacao Games and Blue Hole Studio, obviously a pedigree as a developer, whether or not you like Terra or whatever, that's totally different. That's a flavor thing, but they have a pedigree in MMO. Then Cacao Games has a pedigree in publishing MMOs, so we've got some decent muscle behind it, and they want to see if, hey, can we make another one that's big in not just Korea, which is their focus, right?
Blue Hole's got that other little game that's kind of doing okay, PUBG or something.
Yeah, that little, maybe you heard of it. Maybe you've heard of it. And they are actually considering going forward, maybe even acquiring Western developers, but they want to see if, will Air take off here as well in the Western market like Black Desert did. So
they want to try to get 2 extremely successful games in the Western market, is what they said. They want 2 on their roster. So I guess they're kind of hoping that Air's it.
So Black Desert Online fans, thank you. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't even see a localization of this one. And on the bad news side of that, we ain't going to see this till at least 2019. So if you're in Korea, you've got a beta coming up this quarter. They are highly advising against trying to access that beta illegally. They said they're going to keep funneling as much information, trailers, footage, and all kinds of stuff as they can. There's going to be a Korean closed beta in Q1, but we probably aren't going to see this one from what they said. It's not expected to fully launch until 2019. So I'm going to ask you one question before we wrap up things here and move on to the bombs, Jason. Do we see any type of beta, closed or open, in the West before 2018 ends?
Yeah, I think so. It'll be at least founder pack, something like that, where you can get in before the end of the year.
Q?
I mean, I'm really not sure. It's going to depend on how long their beta system takes over there, I would think. Like, how much time they spend in beta there before they start doing stuff here.
So, is that it sounds like a very hedged bet.
Yeah, it is a hedged bet because, like I said, they're really concentrating on the Korea launch first. They said that outright, and despite all the articles you're going to read in a lot of places that are saying like beta's coming here this time, like they've made no mention of any betas in the West yet. They just it's there. All the things that people are interpreting as betas for here are the Korean betas. So, like they're very obviously very concentrated on that first. And I mean, maybe around November, December, but I wouldn't expect to see it too early.
I'm kind of I'm with both of you. I think if we do, it would be Q4, and I think we will. I'll go as far to go with Jason to say yes, I think we will, but it won't be until Q4. Before we finalize things here, Q, do you want to cover this, or is this a bit too emotional for you? I can cover it if you want to go over it.
Writing? Well, I didn't cry. I got a little misty-eyed because it was all sad and everything.
It's very sweet.
Yeah, it is. It's very sweet. And this is one of the things I really, really love about game communities in general. So back in December, a Rift Dimensioner, and for those of you that don't know what that is, that's the people that are really invested in the dimension building in Rift. Like they're super into it, and they build crazy things. They're so talented. But this Dimensioner named Winter Charm, she was in a really terrible accident, and her mom actually got on the Skype chat for the Dimension people and basically told them that her daughter was in an accident and she ended up passing away. So I don't know the girl personally, and I'm not a Dimensioner myself. I spend just minute amounts of time in Rift, but she was really obviously important to the community. And so, of course, Dimensioners, creative people, they go and start building dimensions for her. But the Trion, the development team, they decided that wasn't all they wanted to do because this girl had such a positive impact on their community. So Dev Tactus, particularly, he spends a lot of time working with the Dimensioners. He got together with some of the other developers, and they very quickly created an NPC for her that will remain in Rift that sells Winter Charm blossoms. You can walk up to her, and she's actually got 2 modes. The one that you're seeing there is her angel mode, I guess. But when the video, which you can see in the bottom of the article, when you walk up to her at first, she's just standing there like a normal person with her little critters and stuff. And then you can buy these blossoms for her, which are dimension items, and it's not a ploy. They're not using real money currency. They're using currency you earn in games. So it was just something nice they could do, and they said they especially wanted to do it for the girl's mom, to let her know how important she was to this virtual community. So it's one of those things that's a little weird. Like it's straight, like, years and years ago, nobody would log on to a chat to tell people that their child had died.
True. Yeah.
Like, so they wanted to do something for.
Very cool. And obviously our condolences to Winter Charm's family and to friends in the Dimensioners, and good on Trion. I love seeing stuff like this, and we've seen this with Jason Blizzard has done this a few different times with people in the community that have passed away, and other games have as well, and it's always good to see. Yep. On that note, let's get over to the weekly bombs. Jason, you're up.
I'm going to give an A-bomb to dying monitors and the black void that consumes them.
I saw your picture. What happened?
Yeah, it just started going black. I think I pressed a little too hard when I was cleaning it the other day and
shattered a few LCDs, huh? Something or other, or LEDs, whatever. But on the bright side, I got a new monitor. It's 27 inches big. It's beautiful. It's it's hopefully going to last more than a year and a half like the last one. You didn't buy the 65-inch 4K gaming monitor? I thought about it, man. I really wanted to. That has no price or release date yet, but you were going to buy it already. Go ahead, Q.
I'm going to give a bomb to Cyberpunk's 2077 Twitter feed for coming back to life, sort of. Beep. It sort of came back to, that's just beep. But it just made me so happy because that's the game I've been waiting on for how long now?
4 years is what I read, is how long it's been.
Yep. Yeah, it was apparently, 2013 was the last time they posted anything on Twitter. So and I'm still a little mad at them for doing the whole, here's this game we're putting out, but first. I love things like that. And Q, when you linked it to me, I was like, wow, it's been 4 years. But it was just beep, like a robot booting up. I was like, this is awesome. That's really well done. That's cool. I'm going to give an A-bomb to the Gazillion Entertainment situation, which somehow, even after it's closed, just manages to keep getting worse. So if you don't know, the company now apparently being forced into involuntary bankruptcy. And if you don't know what that is, think of what bankruptcy is. I can't pay my bills. I don't have the money to pay my bills. I'm going to declare bankruptcy to try to start over or get a reset and free myself up from the debt that I have put myself in. Involuntary bankruptcy, which is a little more rare than this, obviously, regular bankruptcy, would be I owe Jason, Q, and somebody else so much money, and I'm not meeting those obligations in any type of reasonable fashion, so they force bankruptcy on me. That's involuntary bankruptcy. That's happening to Gazillion to the tune of $700,000, and we should see some more information about how that all pans out by the end of February. When it rains, it pours. All right, from the viewers, what do we got? Lagwin1980 says, Path of Exile Steam version, this is something we were talking about last week, launched at the end of October 2013. The buy-in for Path of Exile before anything Steam was the middle of 2012, so you had about a little over a year between the two. That being said, the game has split the player base pretty evenly at the moment, though there is a steady flow of people unlinking from Steam. So when you're doing your Steam charts, Jason, based on that information,
information. If you see 10,000, go with 20,000.
Well, Lagwin, if you can, let us know where you're getting the information that it's split. I'd like to know where that's coming from. So
that would be useful information. Go ahead, Jason.
Student Yayoi says, "Dear Mike Byrne," not Burns, just Byrne, the bomb to the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Committee, analyzing the possibility of allowing esports to participate in the next official Olympic Games.
Do you think it's going to happen?
The thing is, when you say esports, which game? That's I say we're going to allow sports at our competition. Well, yeah, which ones?
That's true.
Is it Overwatch?
It's got to be Overwatch at this point, right?
Maybe League.
You think?
Hey, Overwatch League, it's a big deal now. Just started yesterday.
Yeah, and controversy already.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which controversy?
The one about the female gamer.
Oh yeah, that. And then there was a Pepe the Frog sign in the charts. Yeah.
Nah, she wasn't drafted. Wasn't drafted. Go ahead, Q.
KO, A-bomb for Blizzard. My BNet wallet is full and they don't make any new games I can spend money on. This is a problem? Here's hoping for Diablo 4 and Warcraft 4 in 2018. You want to send some of that money my way?
Yeah, I'll take it too. I'll buy those Overwatch League skins.
I am ready for a Diablo MMO. I think it's time. Bits Turn Bite says, "Dub-bomb to Bungie for giving me a reason to play Destiny 1, that being the horrific state of Destiny 2, lol." And you know what? I actually considered, because I never really got into Destiny 1. I own it all, the Taken, what is it, Taken King, and all of that stuff. I have the whole kit. But I don't have max level or anything like that. I thought about, I enjoyed Destiny 2 so much as far as the gameplay goes, going back to Destiny 1, so I might join you, Bits Turn Bite. Haven't decided yet. Still enjoying my Warframe a little too much, I think, to do it right now. Go ahead, Jason.
Mr. Sanchez 159 says, "A-bomb to intermittent fasting. I'm always effing hungry." Well, dude, eat something.
Well, Jason,
there's reasons to fast.
Yeah.
There's medical reasons, religious reasons. There's lots of reasons people fast.
I have insomnia. I can't sleep. Just go to bed. And that's basically what Jason just did. Go ahead, Q.
I didn't know he was talking about it being like a reason. I thought he was just like
That's what intermittent fasting is.
But
you don't just randomly act.
Well, maybe he does. Maybe he does decide, I'm not going to eat for a few hours. Well, dumbass, that's why you're hungry.
Unless you just count the periods between breakfast and lunch and dinner as intermittent fasting. He's talking about
yeah, you don't accidentally intermittently fast.
On why you're doing intermittent fasting. Write back to us. Give us a comment this week.
No!
Let us know what the reasons are.
No!
We have to.
No, don't! Whatever you're doing intermittent fasting for is your own personal reason. You don't have to share that with us. Jason, stop! Oh my god. What is wrong with this place? Oh my god. This is literally I have insomnia, man. I am so tired.
Can't hanging like this.
Oh, I wish I could sleep. I have insomnia. Just go to bed, dumbass. Alright, go ahead, Q. You got the next one. Good luck.
Please summon. That was uncalled for. I watch your podcast to calculate if there's enough space under Zach's cam for his legs. Or if he's just half of a robot and you make us think he's a real boy.
We'll never tell. We will never tell. Nestamon says, "Magic Man, love the vibe you bring, bruh. Keep up the good work. The work you guys are the bomb. Pun intended, don't mind the corn." We much appreciate the compliments. Thank you so much. Jason, finish it off.
Eat corn. See, there's the perfect example right there. Anyway.
Yeah, and don't ask for any HIPAA violating things from this viewer.
Squeezy says, "Hey all, just passing to ask you all to stop talking now, Bless Online, and please let it launch. It'll be way funnier when Bless Online that's his thing right there. That's what he put in there.
That's the viewers.
It'll be way funnier when Lawbreaker Bless Online goes live and starts to fight Wildstar to see who will shut down first."
Oh, see? It's Troy that puts Bless down the most. I think Jason is just kind of disinterested in it, and I'm looking forward to it. I may not be as excited as some of you are, but I'm looking forward to it.
I don't have a problem with Bless. It's pretty.
Yeah, that's true.
And honestly, a lot of times that's why I play a game. That's
Question
like
of
the only requirement.
Question of the week last week. What's your 2018 MMO prediction? Make it big and make it count. Tudor Christian says Paladins Battlegrounds is going to be an utter failure.
Harsh.
I think that one's already not going to come true. I think from what I've seen, the feedback seems to be pretty positive surrounding it from Paladins fans, Battlegrounds fans, and people that have watched some of the alpha gameplay. I don't think it's going to be an utter failure as much as maybe some of us might want it to be. Go ahead, Jason.
The House Always Wins says 2018 prediction. Bless Online will open to rave reviews and massive player numbers. It will then go on to reignite the flaming MMORPG genre, influencing other companies to create fantastic new MMOs in the future. Historians will look upon Bless Online in 2018 just like we look upon Nintendo in 1984 as the savior of the entire video game industry. The House ain't going to win that one, son.
Just going to let that one sink in a little bit to the viewers there. There is no way in hell that is going to be the case. As much as I may be looking... A game that started development when? 2011 was when it was kind of initially announced. That ain't gonna revitalize that.
Every now and then I keep these things.
Are you keeping that one?
I might. But here's one thing from a Twemo we did about 5 years ago. I saved the comment in here, and someone made in chat. He said, WildStar will prove sub games are the future.
Oh god,
Guild Wars 2 will prove free-to-play
I've seen you use that screenshot like 3 times.
Well, just wait till you see what I have on Crowfall.
You know what? If the House Always Wins ends up being right, wow, we're gonna look really dumb. But I'll take that bet, House. What do you want to bet? Let's make a friendly wager here. I hope you're just being sarcastic because I've seen some of your comments before, and you are a very funny person, very good sense of humor. I hope that's the way that's intended. I gotta think that is definitely just being sarcastic.
I have to think so. Yeah.
Go ahead, Q.
Breckner Catalan. My prediction for 2018, a lot more Battle Royale games, more crappy mobile MMO ports, and no new popular PC MMOs.
All right, so
well, that's bleak.
Yeah,
I could believe that one, though.
Well, because, I mean, we've all kind of been saying that MMOs are just kind of slowly, and not that we want them to, but slowly dying off.
Oh, it's our fault.
No, I see it. Personally, I don't think they're slowly dying off. I just think we've reached a saturation cap of population, and we're being further and further divided up into our little... Until now, none of us stays on a game. You know, me playing Final Fantasy XIV for 4 years from launch, that's not the average MMO player anymore.
No.
I'm still in Secret World.
Yeah, and that's...
Although I don't know if
it
counts since they relaunched it.
Oh, sure it counts. Lomkey says, my prediction will be mass MMO shutdowns for 2018. I don't think we're going to see mass, but we're definitely going to have some shutdowns. WildStar.
Every year.
Go ahead, Jason.
Cloister 7 says, my prediction for 2018 is that EA will begin to widen out SWTOR. Maybe not close it outright, but new content will be few and far between.
Now, there were some replies on this one, but I didn't want to put them in here, kind of going both ways. I think it's an interesting thing to think about. Jason, how likely do you think that is?
You know, remember they were doing like the monthly campaign, or they were doing every episode or something like that for their new storylines. We were getting those like every month. We'd get it twice a month. We get it's coming. Good to hear. Here's our PR saying, here's the announcement, it's coming, and here's the announcement, it's here. 2 weeks later, it's the same thing, coming here, coming here. We haven't gotten those for a long time. I'm not really even sure what their big next thing is. So
I don't. I agree that it's not going to.
I don't think shut down.
I don't think there's any chance in hell that it shuts down.
No.
Because to me, that specific space, EA Star Wars MMO, the only way you shut that down is if, one, it ain't making you money or at all, and two, whether it's making you money or not, you have a replacement to fill in that niche.
Yeah,
I don't think they're going to
7 through 9 MMO. Yeah,
yeah, they're not going to do that, or at least we have no word on anything even remotely like that. So I don't think SWTOR goes anywhere until it is just unprofitable. But I think there might be more to the comment there, and I might agree a little bit, is that the content gets spaced out. Go ahead, Q.
P. Gearchin. Happy New Year to you all. My MMO prediction for 2018 as well. It was Marvel Heroes shutting down, but we know how that turned out. And my new prediction for 2018 is Black Desert Online will lose its box price and go full free-to-play.
I think that's interesting. I think it would get an expansion first, though, wouldn't it?
I could see that. I mean, that kind of would follow like the Guild Wars 2 model.
Right.
They went free to play just before their expansion came out. Or
yeah.
Maybe it was like a while before that.
I think Ion did the same thing. They went full free to play before their first expansion.
Yeah, well, Ion was box plus sub too, wasn't it? So it like completely
Ion was box plus sub, yeah, and then they went free to play right before their first expansion, or maybe right after their first expansion, because you did have to buy that. But when you bought the expansion, if you had never played before, it wasn't like WoW where you need to buy the vanilla and then you need to buy this and you need to buy this. It was like just buy everything in one box.
Black Desert Online just had an expansion, didn't it?
Maybe. I don't remember.
We don't know. We can't keep track of all these.
Yeah, it's not one that I really watch all that much. I own it, but
But I mean, it's only $10 the basic game, so I could see them taking that just free to play again, like Guild Wars 2, where they would discount it down to like $5-10 from time to time. Finally, they just took away the box price altogether.
They did an expansion just in Q4. All right, now I got to look this up because this is I'm pretty sure they did. Yes. The Kama Sylvia expansion, Part 1, launched in September, end of September, and Part 2 of that expansion, second installment, read a video. Whatever. So yeah, they've already had an expansion. I could definitely see the box price being taken off of that one then. You're probably right. LFA says, my prediction, Bless still won't probably launch. I think you're wrong on that one. I think they've hard-coded that one into Steam already. We're ready to go.
Such bad Bless takes in our
right?
ROMs.
So question of the week this week, will Ascent Infinite Realm Air be free to play? I can see arguments on all sides of this one, Jason, going from developer to the publisher to other products both teams have done. It's interesting. Let us know. What do you think? Will Air be free to play? Why or why not? Put it in the comments below. While you're there, make sure you give us your weekly bombs, duh bomb for something good, A bomb for something bad, or your question for the panel. And until next week, Q, where can everybody find you?
Hanging out on Twitter at Quitland.
Jason?
Hanging out on Twitter at Winter Informal and on Twitch at twitch.tv/JasonWinter.
And for God's sake, please somebody send Jason some of his favorite potato chips. I'm Mike Byrne, a.k.a. Magic Man. You can follow me personally on Twitter on Magic Man, on Twitter at MagicMan1. More importantly, though, while you're there, follow at MMOBomb so we can send you all the giveaways, videos, free-to-play casts, news, editorials, and articles right to your Twitter feed. Until next week, stay safe. We'll see you on the servers.